Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be back. Sorry I didn't come back a little sooner. I meant to come back earlier last week, but I'm back again. So I figured what I go and do, I should go pick up where I last left off with this little doodle right here. So those who remember last time, there's a duo between two characters that I've drawn lately. One's my OC Manny, who's a stand-up comedian, but also one of my friends OC's Henry, who's a comedian, but he's also a magician as well. I figured draw a scene where they're both kind of riffing on each other. And this particular instance, one is he's ripping on Henry's issue with his shoes. Because one thing about his shoes is that he has trouble finding ones that fit. And I figured I kind of draw an interaction where the two are actually interacting together. So one thing I'm gonna do, because even though I got pretty much everything like sketched out, I think I'll refine it just a bit more before I start actually, really going in with the pens. So let me get his bow tie here. Let me get part of his jacket. So guys, I hope you guys have been having a great week so far. Hey Shay, glad to see you. I made sure we had a fan of the house fan. Oh nice, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out when I get a chance. I haven't really been on I haven't really been on BlueSky that much all of this week, so I had a chance to really see it yet. Let me see. Let me get this tufts of his hair. Let me see something. Let me get to her pen. Alright, so I think I've sketched just enough to where I can go ahead and commit to sketching the outlines now. So from for Manny here, I think I'm just gonna start around his little nose, his little bulbous nose. I think I'll start with like Henry's kind of big nose too. I know a lot of times when it comes to drawing characters, like sometimes I'll start on the out with the outlines. Other times I will just kind of start. I'll start with the features, just kind of just work my way out. Mainly because with the features, those are usually the ones I really want to try to get to looking good the most. So of course, so I start on the nose. I'm kind of like gradually kind of working my way out. Let me get the bridge underneath where his little eye, where his eyes are. Let me get his cheeks. Let me get his mouth. And I admit I had some other like new stuff, like do stuff like ready to show, like for us ready to make, but I hadn't really had much of the time as of lately. In fact, one thing I've actually kind of started doing more as of lately is that as a credit card take some more time off from work, so that way I have a little more time to kind of really do not only to draw, but also kind of trying to do more of these streams, kind of like these. But as always, I do try to make time when I can. And I was gonna tell you unrelated news. Like here, for those who don't know, where I am, Dragon Con is back in town. Since I'm here in Atlanta, it's actually back in town again. I think it started yesterday. I'm thinking about going. I haven't really settled on doing it just yet, cause I'm already set for attending Chattanooga Comic Con. Chattanooga Comic Con. Oh, okay. Let me bring out the lapel for his jack blazer a bit more. Cause I'm already planning on doing the Chattanooga Comic Con. Now that's gonna be next month. Which, funny enough, we'll be next month. We'll be starting actually like at the end of this week. But that particular one, Chattanooga, that's gonna be on September the 27th to 28th. Yeah, I'm kind of dead set on doing that one, mainly because like I went to the one last year. I really loved how well that one was, so I'm definitely looking forward to going again this year. And plus, I liked it a lot more than personally for me, I liked it a lot more than like Dragon Con. Maybe like since it's a lot smaller compared to regular Dragon Con, because I think at most, I think the most they're probably expected at probably Chattanooga Comic Con will probably be about 5,000. So good amount of people, but way less compared to like say Dragon. I think with Dragon, they're expecting at least up to like over like 75,000. But of course, with a crowd that big, like that's where they pretty much have like certain. I wouldn't say areas closed off, but they have to direct a lot of the traffic down here because a lot of it's being held within like four different hotels over here. Because I think we have it inside. I think the Westin, the Marriott. I think the Hyatt Regency is another one. There's one other too which I can't remember at the moment, but it's within these four different hotels like down here. And plus, I'm just also kind of looking forward to kind of just doing another road trip because I've been meaning to do another one all year, but I ain't got a chance. One, 'cause I've been so busy with work, but also got to get car work done. I want to make sure of course it's road ready because I was thinking about having a car is like you want to make sure at least that it's road ready before you take it on a long trip. And even though like Chattanooga, at least for me, it's not gonna be a long trip. 'Cause at least where I am, it's about really 2 hours away. Now, really, I think if I put in Google Maps, it'll be probably be like an hour and 50 minutes. But of course, that's not counting traffic. And yeah, I know last time when I went, there was quite a bit of traffic. I think when I was leaving when I got there, cause there was quite a bit like within the first like hour when I left, and there was more when I actually got once I got close to the city line. Yeah, apparently they're doing construction over there where that pretty much had to take a while. I figure with him, he'll probably give me maybe like a sly grin. me get his little mane of hair. His little shaggy hair. And let me get the inside, of his little blade of his suit. Also, speaking of wolves, I actually did get a chance to see the new Bad Guys 2 movie earlier yesterday. I actually wanted to go in theaters to go see it yesterday at one of our local movie theaters, and I actually found it really good. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Especially since it's one of the few movies I've actually got out to go see in theaters this year. Cause those probably mentioned in the past that when it comes to going to see movies, like I normally don't go out to see movies that often. That is, at least going out to see them in theaters, unless it's one I really want to go see, and one I think I will like. Cause I know like even because prior before that, I think the last movie I went to go see in theaters was probably yeah, it was the second time I went to go see the new Luchas movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. That's like the last one. At least I remember. At least I did, where I went to go actually see in actual theaters. Because when it comes to movies, like I tend to be very more particular about it. Because especially like since nowadays movies have gotten so expensive nowadays. So for shoes, he has an issue with shoe problem. Like his feet him kind of be poking out through the bottom of his soles. Let me get his tail. I figure here, as a magician, he kind of have a one. I think what I'll do here is that let me kind of get his hand a little bit more here. I'll kind of have like a little magic wand behind it. I figure maybe he's probably doing a spell, and he kind of pulling a prank. Because that's the thing about Henry. He likes to kind of pull pranks. Yeah, I figure maybe he's probably doing something to Manny where he's kind of about to pull something right on him as he's kind of like razzing him. Let me see something for just one moment. So let me just kind of get the. So let me get inside his two-tone shoes here. For those who don't know about like Manny shoes, like these were shoes like shoes that you found that are really expensive, but they're they're big, they're kind of nice and red. And then one plot I thought about doing it for, because I occasionally do comics with this guy, is that one thing I thought about doing is that they kind of found it like in Toontown, but the thing is, they kind of like a mind of their own. Because sometimes they'll tend to kind of move around, they tend to make noise if they need to. So they're almost like semi, in a way, just semi, sentient. Let me get a little tuft of hair. Let me get that going. And make his nose just a bit bigger. Let me just kind of make his pupils a bit bigger too. Yeah, because now at this point, now that I've kind of everything kind of drawn out, just kind of fine tuning everything a bit more, just taking out the outlines, making sure everything looks good, before it's time to move on to the next phase. I think for the spell, maybe someone's just from behind the back. I think a little trail kind of going from behind his back is going all the way above his head. And whatever he's making is kind of material right above his head, though. Forgot I still need room for a speech bubble, but that's fine. I can still make it. I can still do what I need to do here. Because I definitely have something to do here. In fact, let me go check on something real quick. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back to take care of a few things. I might have to cut this one short since I do have a few things to take care of later on today. But right now I'm just going to thicken out the outlines of both our characters today. So I'll probably, if I'm not able to finish this up today, I'll definitely finish this up tomorrow when I log back in. So let me actually thin out a few of these details here.
Oh, I noticed you had a
Alright, sorry, I'm back again. The characters look incredible. I love their expressions. Hey, thanks, Shay. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I'm definitely glad you like it. So, now I just gotta think of some good dialogue for these guys to do. Dialogue for these two guys to say. I think I had something I could probably write for him. Need to get a little bit better doing these on word balloons. I think what I'll probably have him say. I'm still kind of thinking something. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Me and my friend Spissy, we've been meaning to kind of do something with these two characters together for a while. And so this is the first time I'm really kind of doing something with them together. I mean, what happened to that pen I just had? Here we go. It's pretty good, so I think Since I'll be probably learning a little in time here pretty soon, I think what I'll probably do is go and start coloring these guys in. So I'm gonna start with the more obvious areas first. I'm gonna start with red for his nose, just a light layer of red. Yeah, I think I have more of a marker. I have a pencil that's more pinkish. I'll have to look for that in just a moment. Oh, perfect. I do. I do have one. Let me get his little blazer, his blue blazer first. We give it a nice, good, consistent layer. This is a little more sea blue than I would have liked, so I think I have a darker. I think I have a darker blue I can use to kind of lightly go over this with. Can't go on the inside of his shirt though. You see, for those who can't read my writing, basically saying, "Fun, you can do all these fancy tricks, you can't find shoes that fit." And of course, in the addition, it says, "You don't have the money for shoes. I'd rather spend it on other means." And you can see this is what the other means is. So, because I know a lot of times in Discord we'll kind of talk back and forth with how these characters probably interact with each other. I figured a way they would consider themselves probably as rivals, especially in the beginning when they meet. But as they get to know each other, they tend to kind of respect each other for the craft and what they do. There's a major difference in how they, not only their jokes, but also how they approach it. Because of course, he's a guy that's more into using props, where he's a guy that's more into using magic. So their method and how they approach, their material is very different. But they will come to like each other time. Let me see if this one works a little better. Okay, I like this shade a little better, so that works out perfect. Let me get color in his flesh while we're at it. Yeah, this is kind of like a reddish orange, more like a scar. I think it's like a scar vermilion, because that's really a red. That's really the type of red is really more like a reddish orange. Sometimes I'll use that from coloring in like pale flesh. In fact, let me kind of darken, his bow tie a bit more. Let me give it a deeper shade of red. There we go, that looks much better. So I'm gonna do that for him. I'm gonna do that for his shoes. Yeah, I figured if I had to cut the stream short, I definitely want to make sure I got to this point to where at least I started coloring these guys in. Because I want to make sure I got a little bit further along than last week. I think last week what happened is I had a few things actually kind of come up. A few errands that had to come up, I had to go and take care of right away, so I didn't go do it. It taken a lot longer than I expected, so I wasn't able to kind of come back right then and there. So also let me get his suit up. Let me sharpen this for a moment. I've always kind of imagined for this. What was I gonna say? I know I probably mentioned before, but I know for Spiffy's character, Henry here, he's actually a main character from his series on Wolf, a series we're gonna call Wolf Hotel. I don't want to say just much yet because I think someone to show they're still working. I'm not gonna try to give away everything they're doing on that just yet. But one thing I will say, I know he showed me different examples. He showed me some of voice some voice work he's had done for the character. It sounds really good. Clean the voice they end up giving for his character actually has. It kind of reminds me of like Tony Oliver. For those who don't know Tony Oliver, he's a voice actor, but you know he does a lot of stuff with anime. In fact, he's probably most well known for voicing being the current voice actor for Lupin the Third for here in English dub. I think that type of voice, you know, like especially voice actor, the voice actor that he was able to get for Henry, it really kind of works for him because it's very light, it's very friendly. But you can tell there's a very like jokey quality about him, which I think really works for his character. So let me see. Let me get the inside of his shirt because I know he has more like a dark shirt. I don't really have any gray. At least I don't think I do. So I might have to improvise. But I remember when he showed me a sample. That's how that voice they picked for his character. It really works, you know, like for his character. Yeah, it really works. It was a really great. And that voice actor did a really great job. And as for I think for Manny, if I were ever put this guy in animation, I have no idea who I'd want to voice because there are many different voices I thought about having him voice. I've thought about for example. I thought about maybe he'd sound like some of like John DiMaggio's characters, kind of similar to how John DiMaggio does Bender from Futurama. I've always considered him sounding like him, or maybe something like any of the rougher characters Maurice LaMarche has voice. Which, funny enough, Maurice LaMarche, for those who don't know, he actually did used to be kind of a part-time voice act. I mean, a part-time comedian before he really got into voice acting. Because part of his thing when he went to start out, he was always really good at impressions. And you know, having him be able to do impressions, that really does come in handy, especially when you're kind of doing stand-up. Darker shade of blue that I can use. Where is it? Yeah, I apologize if I'm kind of going all over the place today. If I'm just kind of dipping in and out. Let me get the lapels inside the suit jacket. I'll give that make a darker shade of blue. I just realized I hadn't colored his hair. It almost white hair almost looks good for him. But then since he's considered kind of an old-fashioned comedian, I guess you would consider that a badge of honor in a way. legs while we're at it. Now this brown is a little lighter than I would prefer, that I prefer using, but I think it'll work. I might have another like pen I can use to kind of really go over it. Yeah, and funny enough, I think when I've shared Manny on my other alt accounts, I've had some people say that they kind of mind like Rodney Dangerfield, which funny enough, I didn't really initially think about him doing about seeing it that way, but I can kind of see it now looking at it. Either that, or maybe like Don Rickles, who's like the insult comedian. Actually, why don't I use this little pencil here? It's probably the few times I'm using this bougie pencil here, Caran d'Ache. Funny enough, I got like a full set of these and I barely use it, even though I really should. Because that's a weird thing when it comes to using like expensive art material. There's always that, at least for me, there's always that pressure that every time I pick those things up, I gotta make something that looks really good. Because you got good quality art materials. But sometimes it can be hard to kind of figure out what you want to draw with them, but also draw something to where you can really use it to their advantage. I guess that's why I tend to like using or like cheaper materials more often, because at least I feel whenever if I use a more like cheaper art material, like there's less of that pressure. You have to make something that looks amazing, because you're working with material that already has limitations to begin with. So it allows you to kind of be more creative and see what you can actually really do with them. It's not that I'm against on using, because yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, because I'm definitely kind of a person where I think you probably already mentioned this on my screen before, is that when it comes to using art materials, I'm all for using what's available, and affordable for you. You don't necessarily have to have the most expensive art materials out there in order to make great art. Because all it really comes down to is like the skill that you have, that you personally have as an artist, and what you can do with them. And sure, while it might make something look, if you get better art materials, it may look a little bit better to an extent. But having that skill and technical know how to use like these certain mediums, that is a lot more valuable than having to laze like great materials that are out there. Because I know, for example, I think for a brief while when I was using ball not ballpoint pens, alcohol-based markers. I know when I first got around to using them, I'll be honest, I really didn't like them all at first because, of course, they weren't blending like I wanted. And, of course, I think when I did, I got a couple of Copics. Because the Copics I were using, they looked nice. Look, they were right. They were nice, but they weren't working the way I wanted it. I think it wasn't until I think later on when I started getting some cheaper markers. I think I had gotten some. I think I got Chart Pack, but also I got a few like off-brand ones from Ross. And from there, when I have a wide variety of markers, I kind of started really liking. But also, I got a chance to kind of really learn how to use that medium properly. And once I did that, that's when I really started liking the medium. And yeah, and and I forgot. I think the first set I got, it was like a 24 set. And I gotta say, like a 20, I forgot how much it was. I think it was like maybe like $10.99 when I got them, which was beautiful because I think because if you were to get like I think a Copics, I think even today, it'll be almost like double the price. At least where I am, it'd be almost double the price if I were to get that same amount elsewhere. And that's another thing I'm also kind of big on using like cheaper raw materials because you just never know. There might be certain materials that are out there that might work for you because not only they'll do the job just as well, but they're much cheaper. Actually, no. Let me just go over black and just kind of just go over his pen. Let's just put this black marker. No, what am I saying? I'm not saying marker. I mean pencil. It has some of this magical aura that's kind of ruminating around his spell here. That looks pretty good. Oh, I almost forgot to color in his wand. Because I don't know if he normally uses the wand or if he normally uses his hands or uses a little bit of both. But I figured he's a magician. I figured it'll probably work either way. So now I think the last thing I'll do before I officially close out. See, I actually had a lot more time than I realized. Let me just kind of just go over some of the outlines, at least that I had made. Just to kind of bring definition of line work back out, because I know a lot of times, if I'm working with pen, especially ballpoint pen, when I'm starting to add pencils, that they can really start getting buried underneath all the pencil marks. I forgot to color one of his eyebrows. Can't believe I forgot that. Let me go take care of that right now. Uh-oh. I almost hit the camera. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, even once I'm done today, I might do a little bit of extra. I think I might do a little extra work on these two, as far as actually kind of like ironing out the line work a bit. Yeah, I'm also got a little detail. Like since he's got big feet, he's got big claws at the end of his toes. So make sure those are kind of sticking out at the bottom of his soles, his feet. just to further attempt like how like ill-fitting his shoe wear is. You know, it's basically kind of balanced ideas on what would do how these characters interact. I figure like him kind of ripping on his shoes would probably be the big thing he would do. And I figure maybe after that kind of go back and forth, they would kind of pick things about each other that would kind of riff on, but they wouldn't try to go out and hurt each other. They wouldn't try to go out and hurry or bully each other. They wouldn't really try to do that. Either everybody even does end up getting mean sometimes. Okay, so I think that's it for what. Oh my god, I realized I was out of focus this whole time. Okay, here we go. So this is how the whole thing looks. So I figured this is how. In fact, let me rearrange the camera a bit so you guys can see this a bit better. And so I think that's gonna be it for today's stream. So this is how it is with these two. So I figured, cause I didn't realize I was out of focus this whole time. Cause I always forget to look at the camera on my feed when I'm doing these streams. Like that's how in the zone that I get. But you can see it's between these two. There's kind of ripped on the shoes, and he kind of says, "Yo, man, like funny, you can do all these fancy tricks, yet you can't find shoes that fit." I mean, looks at him, he's got another gag plan where he says, "I don't have the money for shoes. I'd rather spend it on other means." And you can see what the other means are. And so I believe that is going to be it for these two. I might get another pen to kind of like go over the dialogue so it's a little bit more legible, especially my bizarro handwriting sometimes. And all right, so I know the stream being a little bit shorter than the other ones. Well, luckily not as short as last week's. But guys, I hope to see you all again. Hopefully, best case scenario, hopefully I can probably do this, maybe do another like bonus one either tomorrow or on Monday, since I'll be off from work like for both days. But my everything's playing on day, but hopefully I might be able to do a bonus one to kind of make up for a short one I did yesterday. But I'll let you guys know what I'm able to do. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you. See you next time.